welcome back to some more Disco Elysium. I am trying to make use of the last few minutes of the cigarette here to pass another blue check. She has I believe a conceptualization check for me. So I need to put one more point into that. And I'm stacking conceptualization pretty high. Let's do it. And let's see if I can pass the check.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
Gonna show her my badge. I found my badge, by the way.
I love you did.
She inspects the piece of blue plastic, her eyes scanning from left to right.
She is memorizing your badge number.
Pleased to meet you, Lieutenant W. Freighter Dubois. I am glad to see a man of high qualification. The situation is precarious. What can I help you with, Lieutenant Freighter?
I've got some more questions about reality.
More lessons in basic reality? My favorite part of the day. Go ahead, ask me anything.
Wow, even with all my conceptualization items on and 11 conceptualizations stacked, I'm still only at 28%. What is, reach for something fundamental,
What is all of this? The scent, the sound, the air.
I passed. I will take it. I will take it. What world is this?
What world? The only one, I suppose. The world of matter. And its pale antipode.
The fading pearls of her eyes look to the sea.
The camera of her mind glides over the surface of the water.
What do you see?
Great bodies of water. Forest-covered surfaces. Clusters of light where the cities lie. You've seen the montage. We all have. This world is enough.
She concludes.
It must be. This is the greatest and the kindest arrangement the atoms had in them.
And I am so loving that art degree thought that I have. I'm just stacking these 10 experience points every time I get the conceptualization checks. The best of all possible worlds.
Indeed. There is a term of endearment they coined for it in the DeLorean century, when humanity was high on this world, discovering more and more of it, these archipelagos included.
What is it?
Elysium.
Elysium? The world needs a term of endearment.
It does. There are those who would call it hell.
What is hell?
A term of hatred that originates, like many such things, with the Mesk petro-fascists.
I don't feel like I have got the whole picture yet.
Oh, you want a picture of the world? There is no complete set yet, dear. They're having some trouble reaching orbit.
She raises her finger to her lips. How come?
Great things are difficult to achieve. For now, we're viewing the world from the inside, sideways.
Inside sideways? What shape is this world in?
We used to think it was a sphere, but that is beginning to look less and less likely by the day. You wouldn't know it from the tabloids, but the ORG nations have been launching weather balloons into the lower ionosphere since the 30s.
ORG, Occident Revershol-Grad.
There's a steadily increasing trickle of images. Between the big three scientific contributors, they're piecing together a dark grey corona.
A dark gray corona?
Yes. Pale covers 72% of the surface. There are grey flares and prominences, even arcs above entire isolas. The images are blurry, but if there was a sphere in there, it certainly looks like it fractured a long time ago.
A cold fear seeps into you.
The pale? What do you mean, corona?
They say there is a rarefied envelope of matter surrounding the darkened disk of our planet. That is, if we are still living on a planet. Or, to speak more plainly, imagine vast swathes of land disrupted by nothingness. I am sorry, dear. It must sound quite terrifying through the acute encephalopathy. Even scientific positivism isn't entirely convinced about what we're dealing with here. But this is one of the greatest questions of our time. Maybe when they get the complete set together, it will jolt us out of our rut, bring us together, however naive it may sound.
A fractured corona doesn't feel like it's going to bring anyone together.
You have misimagined it. I don't have the power to convey to you the effect and geometry of the images that depict our world from below low orbit. It's like the crowning of the world. It's insane. Very disco. You'd love it.
Well, if you say it's disco.
See? Everyone finds something worth holding on to in this world, however wasted its opportunities.
Suddenly, you're conscious of yourself standing there, on whatever this all is. Your arms hang down by your sides. The lieutenant observes you both, silently. He adjusts his glasses.
You said pale. What is pale?
The Pale is not, technically speaking, part of reality.
Yes. Also, I think we've had enough excitement for today. We do have a case to attend to.
The lieutenant looks at his watch.
His voice is low, but firm. All she can say is,
Of course, Lieutenant. Let's try something else.
She turns to you. What do you mean it's not part of reality?
Ma'am, remember you are dealing with a very sensitive and impressionable police officer who is still recovering from a recent medical episode.
The Lieutenant's right. Let's change topics. What do you want to know? Anything.
She gives you a little wink.
but she wants to tell you. You could sneak back later, when he's not around, unless you can convince him to step aside.
Okay, let me try to convince him. Ask him to step away while you discuss the Pale.
Good idea. Just ask him. He won't make a scene.
Kim, can I talk to the ma'am alone for a second?
Fine.
He steps away with his notes.
See? What can he do? You're a grown man.
Now, what is the Pale?
Are you sure you're sure? Your colleague seemed adamant.
Yes, what is the Pale?
Okay. The Pale is the most dominant geological feature of the world, Detective. The separative tissue between the islas. It is the inter-islary mass.
Wait, and what is an isla?
Isla is a Messinian word for a continent of matter, enveloped on all sides by the Pale. Also, isolation, or landmass. We used to believe there was only one. In the last 4 centuries, we have discovered 7. Mundi, Seol, Samara, Ilmara, Grad, Katla, and this, Insulinde.
And Insulinde is...
An oceanic isla. It comprises mostly of water. Muindi is the largest, Katla the coldest, Insulinde the bluest. What can I say? Each is perishing and dear.
Okay, what is the Pale like?
Achromatic, odorless, featureless. The Pale is the enemy of matter and life. It is not like any other, or anything in the world. It is the transition state of being into nothingness.
The negation of being.
The negation of...
That's right. The negation of being.
She tightens her hood around her neck. It's cold outside. Is it here?
No, Detective. We're safe. It begins there, 6,000 kilometers to the north, and even more to the south, east, and west. You are in the middle of the Isla.
As your gaze instinctively turns north, a small black pit opens up in your stomach.
And there, point to the north.
An uproar of matter, darling. Rising into the Pale. Rolling. Evaporating even. A great vision. The area of transition between the world and the Pale is called Porch Collapse. Imagine a grey coronal mist, cold vapor marked by spores of an opportunistic microorganism, a mold that's adapted to grow at the edge of the unrest. It's the most disco thing you will ever see.
What are its physical qualities?
It's difficult to describe, or even measure. Something whose fundamental property is the suspension of properties. Physical, epistemological, linguistic. The further into Pale you travel, the steeper the degree of suspension. right down to the mathematical. Numbers stop working. No one has yet passed the number barrier. It may be impossible.
There's a slippery article in there.
Is it the Pale or Pale?
Pale when it's particular, this territory of Pale. The Pale when it's pale in its entirety. Once you've seen it, language balks at the difference.
If we're surrounded by Pale, how do you get from Isola to Isola?
Oh, it is so difficult for us.
Her lungs deflate, her words sound like a sigh.
A squall of birds. Hardware operating in the harbor. Firm. Self-evident.
It is possible to force dimensions on the Pale. In modern times, we can even compress its latitude, bouncing radio waves from one end to the other, shortening the path. But it is still hard for humans to navigate the Pale without getting lost, or having our minds damaged.
The Pale can damage the mind?
Extensively.
How?
Some say the damage stems from extreme sensory deprivation. Others argue that Pale somehow consists of past information that's degrading, that it's rarefied past, not rarefied matter. They call it the blend over of the self. The Pale does not only suspend the laws of physics, but also the laws of psychology, maybe history even. The human mind becomes over-radiated by past.
Who says and who argues?
Who says and who argues?
The logical positivists say, the dialectical materialists argue.
What does this over-radiation feel like?
It feels terrible. Absolutely terrible. International standards strictly limit civilian travelers to 6 days of Pale exposure per year.
It's more for her. Way more.
You're not a civilian passenger?
No, Lieutenant Dubois. I'm entreprenetic business class. I'm cleared and trained for 22 days of Pale transit annually.
Perhaps that explains her strange pining after the revolution. Some degraded early memories. Someone else you've met may have been exposed as well. The strange grey-haired woman in her lorry.
Do lorry drivers pass the Pale?
Yes, carried in the hulls of airships. It's a horrific job. Automation will abolish it soon.
That poor woman must have stories to tell, like you wouldn't imagine.
Are you over-radiated?
Up to my gills, officer.
What is entroponetic?
Entreponetics is the scientific study of the Pale, or a recent iteration of it by way of grad. The study of the Pale reaches back 6,000 years. The Pericarnassians called it the Western Plain.
They had not traveled the entire circumference of the Pericarnassian Super Isola. It was not merely in the west, it was everywhere, even then, surrounding them.
Did they cross it, the Western Plain?
There are signs of pre-modern crossings. Successful navigation of the Pale relies not just on technical know-how, but intensive psychological preparation. Some of these tactics have been known for thousands of years.
What has entroponetics changed then?
Nothing. We remain powerless before the Pale. The only real advance in Pale transit is the speed with which an aerostatic craft can pierce it. Less exposure leads to less effects later.
Aerostatic craft?
Hybrid airships, Detective. Conventional rotors or jet engines no longer add velocity after the point of reference for motion is suspended, once you've crossed from near Pale to far Pale. In essence, we throw them in and they come out the other end. If we throw them precisely.
If we do not?
Then they don't.
Gone, like a skipping stone beneath the surface.
How much Pale is there compared to the world?
The Pale outweighs reality 2 to 1. There is more Pale than there is matter, and the ratio is slipping.
Slipping how? Toward detriment or...
What do you think, Detective?
She looks you in the eye. It's growing. There is more and more of the Pale.
Precisely. One of the few measurable effects of the Pale is that it is expanding at an unknown rate. An intuitive conclusion of that development is that one day the Pale will cover everything. But this sort of talk is mostly left to extremists.
Cover everything? That can't be. Where would we go?
Most people, and indeed most private and government sector organizations, entire civilizations and religions even, find handy ways to ignore or downplay that knowledge. I suggest you do the same.
Off we go. You see the hanged man's mouth open.
Off we go. Into the wild Pale yonder.
One and all. They say Pale is death, but for the universe.
Why should we just leave, and the world get left behind?
Let's return to reality, please.
Yes, sweet reality. But before we do, tell me, Detective, is this the first time you're hearing this? Do you really not remember anything?
I sometimes sense vague shadows of a past, and it's not good.
Then tell me, what do you think of the Pale?
You were right. It's Disco. Her eyes tense, crow's feet radiate from them. She observes you, her bloodshot eyes and swollen face.
You really didn't know. This does not spell good for the investigation, Detective. If you don't know even this, then...
This investigation will be my masterpiece. The one they remember me by, I promise.
I hope so. I truly do. If I may suggest, hold on to your colleague, Kitsuragi. I ran a check on him and he is very competent. In the meanwhile...
Some of that assurance is meant for herself, as much as it's meant for you. She must have a lot on the line here.
You have me. I will assist you in any way I can, even if we have to do it one basic term at a time.
She gives you a slight bow.
Good. You have not passed out from it. Perhaps I worried for nothing. Are we still on the reality lowdown, or should we do actual police work now?
Some more reality lowdown before we go.
I am happy to oblige.
Well, that's all for now.
Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Anything else?
Thank you, that's all for now. Alright, so that was a bit of a trip. So now let me actually head back to the other side. I need to call the library now that it's after 10 a.m. I think that's what I want to focus on. Get my art there, forgot about that. Let me go all the way through here. I'm wondering what happened to the lady here whose husband I found dead at the end of the pier. I was hoping to still interact with her.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you?
Connect me to the Jamrock Public Library.
Hold on, officer. I've got Central Jamrock Public Library on the line, and I've already introduced you to their librarian. Connecting the call in 2, 1.
Yes, this is Central Jamrock Public Library here. How can I help you, officer?
A male librarian answers the call.
He sounds worried, yet ready to assist. This is how people get when the police call.
I am looking for any information that you can provide on Billy Mijan, a reader.
Billy Mijan, you said. Give me a moment, I'll have to check our database.
He puts down the receiver.
Yes, hello, are you still there? I found Billy Mijan's home address, is that alright? No phone number, unfortunately.
You can hear him fiddle with the printout.
They're too poor to have a phone line.
Yes, the home address is fine.
Here we go, sir. Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33B, apartment number 20. It's in Martinez, I believe. Cape Side Apartments, it says. That's all.
Do you have any other information on Billy Mijan?
It says here that they returned their last book just a few days ago, but I wasn't at work that day.
Do you know someone who was?
Marie? Marie, do you remember a reader named Billy Majon? They returned a Tybalt book the other day.
You hear someone answer from afar.
Yes, it was my colleague Marie. She said that it was Billy's husband who returned the book. He also asked for this new sci-fi release, Lowe's Radio City 87, but we don't have it yet.
Good. You have a name now.
So, Billy Majon is a woman, not a man. How did your colleague know that it was her husband?
Marie knows Billy. She's been working here longer than me. Sometimes her husband returns some books for her.
And then goes for a little drink later. On the lookout.
Do you know the husband's name?
Sorry, no. Marie only knows him by sight.
Can Marie describe to me what the husband looked like?
Marie! She said it was an older man, and that she's pretty sure he'd had a drink or two the last time she saw him.
What was he wearing?
1 second.
The librarian turns away from the phone again and relays the question.
Sorry, Marie wasn't really paying any attention to that.
Okay. Let me see if there's any other things here.
She said it was an older man, and that... sorry.
Yeah, no.
Marie wasn't really paying any attention to that.
Okay. Thank you. That's all for me. I have no other questions.
Happy we could help. Goodbye, officer.
The librarian hangs up the call and gets redirected back to the station with a soft click.
Anything else you need from me?
I need to report a dead body on the Martinez boardwalk.
One moment.
You can hear her shuffling through some papers.
Can you please describe the body? Age, sex, cause of death?
An unidentified middle-aged man, height 170 to 175 centimeters, dark hair, medium build. Looks like he slipped, fell through a hole in the boardwalk and hit his head against a metal bench.
We suspect he might have been inebriated when he fell. There were bottles all around him, and traces of vomit on his shirt.
Any signs of violence?
No, it seems like it was an accident.
No field autopsy necessary.
She repeats.
You can hear her quickly typing in the background.
What about his belongings? Did you examine his clothes?
He was wearing boots, trousers, an old leather jacket with a bright blue lining. I found a library card from his pockets.
Any information on the library card?
It's from Central Jamrock Public Library. It belongs to someone named Billy Majon.
Good. You have a lead. Do you and Lieutenant Kitsuragi want to take the case, or should I assign it to someone else?
Oh, we're taking the case.
I have assigned the case to Lieutenant Kim Kitsuragi. Please follow up on this library lead to identify the man. We'll send someone to take the body to the morgue. That's all for now. Thank you for reporting in. Is there anything else I can do for you?
Did you find more about the owner of the armored boots?
Still no word, I'm afraid, sir. I know it must be frustrating. Was there anything else you wanted to ask?
I'm done with the radio for now. Well, let me see if Sylvie has anything to say, actually. Please connect me to Sylvie again.
Just a second, officer. Sylvie Malaika on the line for you, officer. Yes, hello?
You recognize her voice. Hey, Sylvie, it's the police again.
Oh, great. What else do you need, detective?
Do you know how my paperwork ended up in the trash container behind the whirling?
Well, you tried to jam it down the toilet, sir, clogging it completely. After I had unclogged the toilet and retrieved the paperwork, I threw it out in the trash, thinking you didn't need it. I am sorry about that. Anything else, detective?
I think I got everything I need, thanks.
You hear the call breaking up on the other end of the radio, and then the already familiar voice.
Anything else I can help you with, officer?
Alice, this is Firewalker. Reconnect me to the 41st.
Right. Please hold.
10-4, come in. Firewalker, over.
I'm happy to report that I have found my badge, Jules.
10-4, sir, glad to hear that. I'll write down that there is no need to issue a new one to you then. Over.
Feels good to get that off your chest, right? Celebration with beer?
10-10, over.
Roger that. 10-10, over and out.
Okay, let me close the door for now. And you know, that kind of reminds me, talking to Sylvie about my paperwork in the trash, I did have that ledger that I never finished reading all the case files for. So let me interact with this again.
It's the ledger you found in the trash. A cabbage of papers hanging from the board, with the permeables drawer inside. It's barely held together by a clip, then made complete by the faint smell of urinal cleaner.
Let me browse the case files again.
Arson, petty theft, spousal abuse. Handwritten logs on dozens of investigations date back to January 51. Stamped case files, commit to paper. These are your last couple of months in Revachol, Precinct 41, Jamrock Quarter.
I'm done inspecting these.
You don't exactly close them, so much as distance yourself from the smelly papers. They're a little further from your nose now.
Alright, so let me read a case file.
It takes about half an hour to piece one together, using the system you've devised. Which one do you want?
The unsolvable case.
AKA Leslie and Burke. AKA the public indecency drunk and the property damage drunk is a cursed case. It has been passed from unsuspecting officer to unsuspecting officer for 10 years. On January 29, the unsolvable case made its way to you. Why you accepted it, it is unclear. Every officer, and indeed most civilians in Jamrock, know it's unsolvable. You were so drunk you didn't remember what it was when you signed on. That, or you were high. Leslie will always take his pants off when he's drunk. Burke will always trash everything. It's just what they do. It is their nature. You cannot change the nature of a man, and you can't lock them away because public indecency and small-scale property damage are not punishable by incarceration. The only way for Leslie to stop displaying his genitals and for Burke to stop attacking things would be for them to stop drinking alcohol, which in their 40s or 50s, it's hard to tell because of their distorted features, is a medical improbability.
Proceed.
Threatening fines, dragging them to the station, locking them up in the hellholes they live in, locking them up in the station, hypnotherapy, even trying to get the local gang of Zemyaki to take them out. The Zemyaki gave them ethanol, so Burke and Leslie would expose and rampage even harder. You tried it all, and still the complaints wouldn't stop, as they hadn't stopped for 10 years. It's plain to see from the files that you, Satellite Officer JV, and Special Consultant TH had more important cases to attend to. You uncover cross-reference to several ongoing investigations, each brought to a standstill every time you drive down Main Street. Because there they are, on the corner of Perdition. And what is Leslie doing?
Public indecency.
Good, you're learning. If the files are to be trusted, that's all there is to it. That and Burke breaking things, and the fact that they're both drunk. But then again, so are you. The case becomes considerably less comic one day when Burke takes a swing at your ledger. He must have it confused with the property he likes to damage. But the joke's on him. The officer is also drunk. Way more drunk than Burke there. And let's be fair, you also have party eyes. You slam the hardened plastic board in his face, then proceed to beat him unconscious with it. In the process, the ledger sustains damage. The compartment within, reserved for permeable documents, is jammed shut. You stop your assault on the now unconscious Burke to open it, but are unable to do so. The officer began to cry, reports Leslie, who, at this point, is tending to Burke. He came at us, and at us. I think he was trying to kill Burko. While trying to kill Burko, you slowly come around. The permeables compartment is open. You've smashed it open on poor Burko's kneecaps. The good news is, Burke can't walk anymore. Can't get out of his apartment, an invalid. With Burke to tend to, Leslie cuts back on the indecent exposure. Maybe he flashes his genitals to Burke, who knows, but both drunks are off the street. The complaints stop. The unsolvable case is solved. Which is also why the officer responsible narrowly escapes a disciplinary hearing. The end. Do you want to read another one?
So I'm going to try to read one of these per episode. So over the next 3 episodes, I'll read one each more of these.
Not much has changed in the meanwhile. A bunch of sodden papers still sags from the clipboard.
I do want to do these other two options, though. Let me browse the yellow papers.
In the back, you see thin, translucent copier paper. Some neon yellow, some bright red, all covered in boxes, like marching armies. These look like official forms, waiting to be filled out. Then rip them from the binder and hand them out, according to type of form.
What types of forms are these?
3. The topmost are misconduct fines. The middle ones are station calls. And the bottommost are field autopsy forms. Each is easy enough to make sense of. You don't have to be an intellectual giant to do police work.
Let me do the misconduct fine. Another 10 experience from that thought. I know I point it out every time I get it. It's just so exciting to know how much it's paying off to have done that thought.
A monetary penalization ranging from 20 to 250 real. Severe cases allow for 1,000 real, but that requires special paperwork. The details of issuing these fines are spread out over the rest of the fields. But they appear pleasantly vague.
Let me see the station call.
These are quite sinister in turn. They give a date and time for the person to appear at the specified precinct police station. Below the call are the criminal charges you risk by not appearing. All in a print so small it could be considered downright cute.
And field autopsy.
A dozen pages of thin copy paper, bright red in color. You see the parameters of a deceased human form waiting to be filled in. Age, sex, condition of internal organs.
Enough of these?
Yes, all that remains now is to fill those forms and hand them to people. Fines for wrongdoers, interview requests for bad guys, and field autopsies to dead guys. What delicious power hid within this pathetic mess. You feel better. The rest of the stinking cellulose is much worse for wear. Being sandwiched between the board and the rest of the paperwork must have spared the fragile copier paper.
Let me look at the clipboard.
It's made of dark blue plastic, hard enough to beat someone to submission with. The edges are rounded, however. The U4 size board feels thick and heavy in your hand. Light shimmers on its wet surface. On the back, you see the embossed letters, RCM.
What did you say the color was?
Blue. The blue heart. Don't look into it.
Let me shake the ledger.
Something rattles inside, ever so lightly. Is there a hidden compartment? And something small inside? Light, made of paper or cardboard? Or dried flowers, perhaps? Permeables. It's not hidden per se. The compartment is made for permeable materials that would get damaged if something happened to it.
Let me peek inside.
The plastic shimmers like lapis lazuli, but it is not see-through. You cannot see to its center.
How would I open it?
With your hands, U4 sized pages hang from the clip screwed to the top of the board.
Okay, let me try interfacing here. It's 83%. Or should I put items on? Let me put items on. Interfacing. Let me see. Am I getting any interfacing here? No. So interfacing, I think, is yellow. Yeah, there we go. So let me put these gloves on. And then let me move these down here towards the pink stuff. Let me move it like that. There you go. Okay, so that gives me +1 interfacing. So let me try now.
It's the ledger you found in the trash.
92%.
A cabbage of papers hanging from the board. The two sides of the board appear slightly misaligned, like a drawer that's come off its slides. If you bend the plastic on your knee slowly, the slides snap back into place. It should be possible to just,
Slide the drawer open.
Without resistance or sound, the two panels move against each other. The compartment is now open.
What's inside?
2 ticket stubs and a handmade postcard.
Let me pick up the stubs here.
2 octopuses are smiling, reaching their tentacles toward each other in the colored pencil drawings. The tickets permit access to the zoo in Revachol East The aquarium costs extra. These let you go there, too.
Let me pick up the card.
Thin wax paper has been glued to a piece of cardboard. Sounds like leaves rustling when you pick it up. You see violet flowers, floral patterns, patches of glue.
Let me smell it first.
It smells of chewing gum, apricot flavored. Exactly like the gum wrapper you found. The same brand of chewing gum.
Open it.
Familiar handwriting lines the inside of the card. Looped, round letters in a woman's hand. A young woman in her 20s. There is care, effort, and a smile, you think. Although that is not something you can read from someone's handwriting. Harry, it begins. You're already reading. I wanted to write you a letter so you can read it when you wake up. Maybe it will make you happy. Throw it away, please.
I'm gonna keep reading.
Your hand shakes holding the card. Every morning when I step out and you're asleep behind me, it says, I find a little piece of sadness in me. I carry it in my chest, down Voyager Road. Every step I take, it grows. By the time I reach the fuel station, it has filled me entirely. I step onto the light rail and look back. Sparks fall from the bow collector. I know it will be like this until late afternoon, when I get off the 42 and walk back to you. You. Every step I take will get lighter. It almost makes me run. Sometimes I do. I can't believe I met you. I can't believe the happiness I feel with you. You have a vast, vast soul, and I will always, always, always come back to it. Kisses, kisses, kisses. You feel the air sucked out of your lungs and the blood sucked out of your head. Everything around you gets dark. Small white dots appear. Sparks fall like snow from the bow collector. A streetcar distancing. You feel the ledger slip from your hand. No, hold on.
Hold on.
To what? There's nothing.
Detective, is everything all right?
Guess I can only fall sideways. That sucks. I lost a ledger. I wanted to read about the other cases, but I don't know if I'll be able to now. What is happening here? What happened? What happened? What?
There is nothing.
What?
Again.
Nothing?
Nothing sad, brother. No treachery. Just blackout.
Okay, man, that scared me. I thought like I died or something. Like the game was over, like I clicked the wrong option. Just lie there, passed out.
Well, almost nothing. There is the ground below you. That's still there. And the small light that's on, fluttering, somewhere in the basal ganglia.
Who's that?
That's me. Blue eyes, that's me.
And who's that?
Who was what?
He speaks of the sickening longing, the unwell emotion. Even in the darkness, he's grasping for it. Still trying to hold on to the great sorrows slipping in the water. Slimy.
Yeah, that's the stuff.
Here in the paleo-mammalian cortex, we call it the shadow. Because it's always there.
Tell him.
Ah, yes. In the olfactory system, they call it the apricot chewing gum scented one. It's unhealthy of them to linger on it so. But as they say, what do you do?
Smelled like betrayal.
Yeah, man. Fuck everything. Total blackout forever.
Where is Voyager Road?
There is no Voyager Road. There are no roads, no houses, no lights in the windows. It's all on pause.
Was that the X something?
Bloated corpse of the past resurfacing.
Yes, that.
Don't prod at it. It will start moving again.
So my name appears to be Harry? I guess I was meant to interact with this ledger way earlier on when I first got it, but I had completely forgotten about it in my inventory.
Your name is fuck all.
It certainly ain't Harry.
Then what is it?
Your name is passed out on the ground, dragged around by one of the other evil apes. They're taking you somewhere.
There was something about a bow collector too.
Yeah, man. What was that about?
Enough. Just lie there motionless.
You think they would let you? Until you disintegrate into biomolecules? No. Someone is breathing on your face now, inspecting your pupils, stupid idiot.
What is that? It's cold.
Yes, they're pouring something on you. It's in you. And
It's delicious. Glowing lights on a dashboard emerge out of nothingness.
Where am I?
In the upholstered cabin of Lieutenant Kitsuragi's motor carriage, seated in the driver's basket. The air is thick with leatherworks and heavy fuel oil. Cold water runs down your chin.
Drink. Water.
The lieutenant is extending a small canister to your mouth. No, I don't wanna.
There is no use arguing with me. You will die if you don't. Drink.
There really is no use arguing with him. This is him exerting the reserves of authority he usually withholds. You can't even try to resist. All you can do is...
Drink.
The water is cold, silvery, the stuff of life itself, as it pours down your parched throat. The pounding in your head recedes. The darkness parts.
Drink. You haven't drunk water in 2 days. Did you know the human body is not made to survive on alcohol alone? You need a secondary form of hydration.
Actually, beer and cider have loads of water in them.
You know, in the Franco-Nigerian centuries, the quality of water was so bad, it was sometimes more hygienic to drink beer. That's actually true. In medieval times, everybody just drank ale all the time because regular water gave a lot of disease, I guess.
But these are not the Franco-Nigerian centuries. We are in the present. It is safe to sometimes drink water here.
He hands you the canister. Drink.
With greedy gulps, you down half a liter of cold water. Some of it spills on the driver's seat. The lieutenant pays no heed to it.
What happened?
I should ask you the same.
You were reading your paperwork. Then you passed out. I carried you to my kinema to take you to a hospital. Then you came to.
How long was I out?
10 minutes, maybe.
Let me see. I came in contact with the burnt-out ruins of the pest, Lieutenant.
That does sometimes happen.
He hands you the remains of your ledger.
He replies with such understanding, it's as if the burnt-out ruins of the past were an occupational hazard. Athlete's foot for cops.
Okay, so I got my ledger back so I can read the case files again.
You dropped these. Are you okay to proceed?
Let's solve this case.
Good.
The Ledger of Failure and Hatred is a special item that can be used both as an interactable and a tool equipped in your held slot for skill bonuses. Find it under the Tools tab in your inventory.
Okay, interesting. Let me take a look at that. The Ledger of Failure and Hate. +1 Empathy, +1 Inland Empire, -2 Authority. This is the same ledger you found in the trash, only worse somehow. It makes you think about the letter, about the woman's handwriting, about not wanting to get out of bed in the morning. Yeah, so the ledger is gone from here, but now it's here. And I can interact with it.
It's the ledger you found in the trash. A cabbage of papers hanging from the board, with the permeables drawer inside. It's barely held together by a clip.
Okay.
Then
Alright, let me put it away for now. I will interact with it later. I do want to interact with this here, the photo of the tattoos, because I'm going to go talk to the scab leader about the tattoos. Lieutenant Kitsuragi snapped this photo of the hangman's tattoos. It displays the intricate web of blue lines stretching across his torso. You have to admit it looks quite cool.
an intricate web of blue lines stretches across the torso of the hanged man, from the right shoulder to the solar plexus. Each time the lines intersect, a small white star is formed in their crossing. Hundreds of fading asterisks riddle his skin. Their concentration is highest around his heart. It almost looks like the electronic patterns inside a radio computer or an old filament memory, but not quite.
Who are you?
Gone.
What's the meaning of this tattoo?
For you to discover. You've gotten as far as you will without assistance. Someone close to the victim might know. Someone who knows about history could tell you.
So I think I had already interacted with that, but someone close to the victim is going to be the scab leader, as we learned from Joyce. So let me go talk to him. And again, I'm just going to start on this end and make my way all the way to the left. So first things first, let me talk with this guy. And then I'll go talk to the scab leader.
Hola, Wandering Man. How can I help you?
He looks at you with soft and hazy eyes. That weasel I visited. Turns out he has one hell of a colonial mug collection.
Yeah, the janitor who gave me the key to his apartment said the guy's a bit of an asshole.
See how we're all busy concentrating on the racist mugs? That's what the ruling class wants.
Yeah, it would be really bad if we got into an argument about it. Waste of a good noon. Or afternoon. Or night. Anyway, thanks for helping out, friend.
Kuno told me you were supposed to know about the armor.
The little boy had a good on his promise.
His promise?
To get me into trouble. To sick the pigs on me. Pardon the choice of words. Not mine.
What happened?
I was asked to look into that armor situation. Official Union probe, you know. Track it down, see who took it.
Did you?
At first I thought, why not? Maybe the pieces can feed the strike. Buy us a few more days under the sun, you know? So I went to this boy. He said he'll make me his prison bitch. He's got eyes everywhere, and the cop's in his pocket, and he's the king of Jamrock. Serves me right for doing menial footwork. I dropped that probe right then and there, and it still got me into trouble. One bad move is all it takes.
So Kuno used us, what, to scare you?
It's a minor nuisance. It's all good.
He contemplates taking a swig from his flask.
He thinks, not yet. Better to get this business out of the way. Sweeter then.
The probe into the armor, what did you learn?
I learned that people don't want to talk to a drunk Union man about some armor.
What else?
Not much. Technical stuff mostly. That was the interesting part.
What sort of technical stuff?
I did some research into this armadura. Let's say I have friends at the library. I didn't get into the material science, just how it comes off.
How does it come off?
In parts. 4 in total. The helmet was the first to go. The kid says he tore it off and kicked it into the sea. I believe him. The boots? Well, it looks like you're wearing them. So, as I count, there are 2 parts missing. The gauntlets and the cuirass. This is where I left off. Too much hassle. More like a job for some militia.
Hold up, 4 pieces? Helmets, cuirass, gauntlets, boots. What about the leggings?
Oh, they're just gone. They don't exist anymore, if they ever did at all. Forget about them. I did.
I'm ambitious. I'm going to find all of it. All the pieces.
All of it? There are junior officers out there, eager to prove themselves. I would leave some for them, and I would leave the boots to processing, but okay. Let's find all of it.
It's implied he finds it unlikely that you will succeed in this.
And Mesqui's epic then, all across Martinez. I hope it will be a real bonanza for you. Especially getting those boots off him. You'd have an easier time wrestling the spurs off a boyadero than that.
Thank you for the cooperation, sir.
No problem. If you see that kid, thank him from Call Me Mañana. Thank him for showing me the way.
He is sincerely grateful he is not tracking down pieces of armor right now.
Good talking to you. Gotta run. So I should probably talk to Kuno. He said that Kuno kicked the helmet into the sea, so Kuno might give me a hint of where the helmet is. Because I already have a few items. I have the boots, and then I have... Was this one of them? Yeah, the Kuriaras. So I have that. So I just need the gloves and the helmet. I also got this jacket. I didn't read about it. A leather jacket that quite recently belonged to a young man who possessed some intimate knowledge on the human condition. It has his nom de guerre written on the back. It's quite a statement. Okay. Good. And let me go talk to the guy up here as well. What was his name? Metalhead? I have a quest to talk to all 4 of the nationalists.
The unpromising race pupil returns.
I need to find a way to turn back time.
No, you don't. You need to help me find out who killed our hangman.
Kim, you cannot even begin to comprehend the importance of this.
No, I cannot. Just make it quick, please.
You want to return to the past?
The giant locks eyes with you. His face is serious.
You don't have it in you. Be grateful for that.
So it is possible to go back.
Anything is possible. Just not for you.
I internalized your race theory, and that was hard.
Yes, for you, I imagine it was. Don't think that I am now obliged to be part of your little growing spurt. It is not going anywhere. He just needs some convincing before you can talk to him mano a mano.
That is a 3% suggestion check. Let me see what I got here in the inventory that might help with suggestion. Yeah, so my purples are here. So here we go. +1 suggestion with the jacket. That's my conceptualization. Yeah, that's all the suggestion stuff I had. Unless I have a couple of doubles. That's volition. Okay. Yeah, I think that's all I have. And this one, let me bring it back up here. Okay, good. So let me try this.
The unpromising race pupil returns.
I'm gonna try 8%. Get him to talk to you in private.
Simple. Just humiliate him in front of his entourage until he has to beg you in private to stop. Then you can let him know it was all but a clever ploy to separate him from his babes.
Earlier you said there was a growth in your groin area?
Look, his ravaged brain is stuck between an imaginary world and ours. It's all fusing together. Soon he can't tell the difference.
You are a growth in the groin area. Low-value man.
The girl snaps at you.
It saddens even me. The rule is a cruel master.
Alright, so I'm gonna have to try that check later. I'm gonna put my conceptualization jacket back on so I can have more chances at getting those 10 experience points every time I pass them. Okay. Good, and then... It looks like I can't go back there. Did I miss my opportunity to get that? I might have only been able to get that whenever he was knocked down. Oh well, I'll come back to that as well, if I can at some point. Alright, let me confront the scab leader here.
Went native on the chief, huh? Those ballerina antics were reckless. Should have just punched him in the throat again. Let's talk about our right to work.
I think you may be able to help me decipher some tattoos.
Don't think so.
He grunts, barely glancing at it.
Suddenly, this feels like a really, really bad idea.
They were on the body of the man who was hanged behind the cafeteria there.
Silence. He takes the photo. Grey eyes dart back and forth on the glossy surface. His face is unmoving. You see dead flesh in colorful rivers of polychrome, melting skin and hair.
Fucking loincloths. Really did him in.
After a while, he cranes his head side to side and sighs. Can you tell me what the tattoos mean?
What it means?
He points to one tiny scar in the web of lines, away from the man's heart, almost on his stomach.
I can tell you what this one means. Only one. You want to hear what happened here?
Yes.
Our colonel is deep in the bush here. Deep in the fucking bush. In Benital, 41. Monsoon season. He's on a reconnaissance mission.
Benital is one of the inhabited islands of the Seminese archipelago near the Pale. Covered in jungle, it was anchor point for the Seminese nationalists in the proxy war held on the islanders' territory.
He spent a month behind enemy lines, scouting kept villages. Nothing but fucking bugs and snakes for fun. Men are getting restless. There's talk of switching employers.
He licks his lips as if drunk suddenly.
With some strange emotion. This is about to get really graphic. Last moment to back off.
Don't interrupt him.
Our boy. He's only a captain then, but he knows how these men think. If they don't see action soon.
His voice gets strangely quiet, a long, long way from right to work. His gaze pierces the paper.
At dawn, he comes upon two kids, breeding in the bushes by the river. Or maybe they weren't breeding. Maybe they were just making eyes at each other. I like to think they were breeding. We shot the boy. He was useless, but the girl, she was nice. A little fat, you know, but not too old.
I'm gonna let him keep talking.
She was quite the entertainment for the week she lasted. Expired in the hands of Sarge Mason. The kind of guy who'd make Chief there shit his pants and cry like a bitch.
He nods towards the man on the gates.
God. Mason couldn't let go. Cut the tits off her cold body and fucking ate them. Said primitive spirits were watching over him now. Drowned in a creek a week later. Spirits my ass.
Something stirs in your stomach. There's a word on the tip of your tongue. Colorless. Odorless. It's...
You were there?
No. I was in the domain. In Jamrock. Being a bouncer.
You're not really a scab leader, are you?
Fucking mask is getting sweaty. I want to take my mask off. But...
He shrugs.
He's under orders. And orders are orders.
Evil.
You bet it was.
What is evil?
It's just nature. This guy, he used to say evil is when nature and spirit meet in the wrong place.
Can I have it back?
Go ahead.
All right now. Free commerce! Keep the goods flowing!
He turns towards the gate slowly and yells.
On the photo in your hands, the dead man's skin is studded with stars. Tens, hundreds of them, littering his dead skin.
Are you a mercenary hired by Wild Pines?
Free flow of commerce!
The man yells and wipes his face. Sweat is dripping down his brow. Is there a tribunal being convened by any chance?
Fucking bug.
He breathes out slowly, his giant chest deflating and his mouth slightly open.
I'm going to interpret that as a yes. There's a tribunal, and it won't be long until it's ready.
How about you fuck off now, huh?
Okay, of course.
The lieutenant says, his voice soothing calm. He looks at you.
There could be weapons aiming at us right now. Somewhere above, in the buildings. The other merc. Don't push this, he's thinking. This is not the time.
Okay. I'll back off.
The man's breathing steadies, but his eyes are still narrow. Slowly, he's trying to get his right-to-work dance back on.
I'm just going to leave now. Alright. So that's that. Got everybody else here. Already talked to all these guys. So I think that's going to do it for this episode. In the next one, I, of course, will continue the investigation. We'll talk to more people. And I'm trying to get back over to the cathedral area to explore all that, because I haven't explored any of that yet. But we'll see where the next episode takes me. Thanks for watching, and see you then.
Thanks for stopping by the Renaissance Gaming Monastery. I hope you join our community on Discord and Twitter. These videos are produced with a lot of hard work and love. If you think they're worth $1, I'd be grateful for your contribution. You can send a thanks donation or become a member on YouTube. You can also support through PayPal, Patreon, or even with cryptocurrency. All links are in the description. See you on the next video.